Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K channel. Today's video, I don't know if either of Andy or Kirk have seen this, so we're just going to go check it out. We will not be pausing the video. We will give all our thoughts at the end, so you get to enjoy the video and we get to enjoy the video. So let's go check out today's reaction. Okay, that was a little bit of Sepultura. Sepultura. Sorry. And the track is Isolation. Obviously, a video done to the actual album. That was not the live audio track. You're looking at you'd be sitting there going, "Where's the second guitarist? Where's the choir? Where's the?" But it's they did it very well, obviously, because they're playing with backing clicks in their ears. So let's throw it over to Kirk first.
Oh yes, I loved this album. So just to point out, people aren't aware of this. Sepultura have been a band with Derek Green for 27 years now. That's longer than the tenure with Max, even almost double the length of that.
Yeah.
And ever since that 2013 album where they brought in Eloy Casagrande on drums, that title of that album is "The Mediator Between the Head and the Hands Must Be the Heart," something like that.
Then spot on, Kirk.
It's what, sorry?
That was spot on, exactly what it's called.
So you've got that album then?
No, I've got the Wikipedia page up.
Oh, okay. They did Machine Messiah in 2016, and Quadra completes this trilogy of great albums, because
they are great.
This band have put out some shit since Max. I mean, that was it Sepul Nation or Nation? Dreadful album. Roarback, awful album. Even Alex was mediocre. So what I want to say before even I it's a song, Sepultura back, but it's been the case for the last 10 years. They are writing some really challenging progressive thrash metal. That was just like the first time when I was 14, and I remember watching MTV Super Rock, and Dead Embryonic Cells by Sepultura came out. It scared the shit out of me, that song. And they've got back to that, haven't they? Certainly with that song, Isolation, that is ferocious. I think if you showed that to someone and said, "This is extreme metal," or "This is thrash metal," you'd expect them to be scared shitless of it, wouldn't you? Like, that is really in your face, aggressive, dark though, isn't it, as well, with those orchestrations in the background. I've got to say it, the drum work, just anything with Eloy Casagrande on it. He is the hardest hitting drummer in metal. To me, probably the best drummer in contemporary metal. Andreas Kiss is on great form there on the guitar. And Derek, you can tell his background's in hardcore, but listen how clear the vocals are. They're really aggressive, but you can make out the words, can't you? So he's underrated as well. To me, that got me going. You know how you said, Dave, sometimes if you don't often listen to metal to pump you up and get you ready, say, to go and do your day job. This is a song that I imagine that you would have on that list if someone said, "This will get you in the mood." So can I push it back to you to give your review, but does this get you?
So you phased out there. What was that last bit?
I was going to say, can I push it back to you then on that note, for you to give your review? Does it get you in the mood, that song?
Yeah, it does. It's a little bit too frantic at points, because it's when it's like real blasting away. You're like, okay, I'm just trying to lock into that groove. No, I've lost the groove again. Where's the groove? Oh, there's the beat. No, it's gone again. I don't know what's going on. But it does. There are certain elements of that troll, especially when it starts. It breaks it down into a slightly slower pace, but your head just wants to fall off. And that's what I found when it did it, when it's like, I was like, okay, my neck's hurting now, but I still have to headbang. I don't care. It's like one of those try not to headbang challenges. I would have failed so many times during that particular song. It's just impossible when a breakdown like that comes in. You're like, yeah, I've got a headbang. Sorry, it's a foot. Put a gun to your head. If you headbang, you're dead. Well, sorry, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to. But it's it's a great track, and I really like what happened, well, I guess, since obviously the Max era Sepultura. I love the Max era Sepultura as well, but I agree with you, like things like Nation was not a good album, and I think that's the problem, is when Derek came in, there was so much comparison to what was going to happen with, because of Max and their meteoric rise with obviously Chaos AD and Roots Bloody Brutes going into mainstream, and then obviously with him going, there was this question of like, well, Derek's not Max vocally. I think Derek's a great vocalist. But it has taken them several years to kind of find their sound again with him, what works. Machine Messiah, I love that album. It's such a good album. But yeah, they've worked out the that brutal sound. Not as impressed with them on a pure live scale. It's in the sense of their sound, because they've kept themselves as just single guitar. So when the solos come in, all that bottom end just disappears, and no matter how much you try to kind of fill it in with the bass, you need that second guitar. And I'm just surprised they haven't gone down the route where some bands, like when Mudvayne reformed for the festival tours last year, they had a second guitarist who just played at the back and just basically filled in all that weight. and even did backing vocals. And I think it's become accepted now that bands realise they still need to put what they've done on the albums out live, and they don't want to just use backing tracks. So they bring in some extra musicians to play those parts, who just stand there behind the drums or beside the drums, and they play those parts. Completely acceptable. Don't see it as being a problem. The only time I see it as a problem is if you've got like the guy that's in Green Day, the guy that plays the acoustic guitar, like the fourth member of Green Day, that's never actually a member of Green Day, but has been playing for like the last 30 years on all their albums. You're like, come on, this guy basically plays with you on all your shows for 30 years, and you still won't make him an official member? Come on. That's where it kind of takes the piss a little bit. But yeah, I really like that track. Could have done without the intro, to be honest. It makes it a bit long. You're waiting for it, but it was cool. I enjoyed that part. Andy?
On your last point, I really like the intro.
I knew you would.
Yeah. My sort of Sepultura experience, I couldn't believe it when you said Derek Green's been with the band for 27 years, because I was going to say, my sort of opening line was going to be, I've not heard any songs with the new singer. Yeah. 27 years. Fuck, that's unreal. That's I can't get my head around that, because my Sepultura experience goes back to was it Bestial Devastation EP, Tape Trading.
Yeah. Wow, you had that on tape, did you? Before?
Yeah, I did, and it was raw. Like the sort of German thrash that was emerging at the scene. It was raw. Poorly played, poorly recorded, but it was still fucking great.
Yeah.
So, I love Morbid Visions and Schizophrenia and Beneath the Remains. Arise was very different for me because, some industrial elements creeping in, and Roots was a bit too ethnic, a bit too sort of going back to their Brazilian roots as they did.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've not heard any material since. I can't really explain why, really. I mean, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page and the list of albums. I've never heard any of them, so maybe I missed their sort of promotions and the reviews in the press. I honestly don't know. But going back to that track, I'm surprised it's not called In the Cage, because that was the line of the chorus. But yeah, ferocious, very fast, very heavy. Reminded me of Slayer.
Yeah.
Take out the vocals, or perhaps bring them down a bit in the pitch. You'd think it was like a Slayer track, which I'm not familiar with their later catalogue either. So, yeah, interesting. I'll perhaps explore the Derek Green era Sepultura, but obviously perhaps avoid the albums that you mentioned. Can I just ask a question? Is that Paolo Jr. on bass still?
Yeah, it looks completely different, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
The reason I mention that is, from my view, Sepultura is the the Cavalera brothers band. And the fact that neither of them in there, and if it's just Andrea Kisser, can he really carry on as Sepultura? Obviously he can, and he does. But the fact that, the original, well, not the original bass player, but the bass player who's been with them from that period is still, driving the band forward, then that kind of, validates that. So all good.
Yeah, just before we wrap up, one thing that I like to praise Sepultura for, look how many subgenres of metal they've influenced. Because, you said the Tape Trading days, Bestial Devastation. You could argue that is, it's proto death metal, isn't it? It's even a lot of those second wave black metal bands from Norway. They love the first two Sepultura records and that band Sarcophago. You'll probably like them, won't you? Sarcophago. Did you ever trade them? That Brazilian.
I know the name. No, I never heard them.
But then look how they developed from there. Thrash metal, you get Clash of the Titans, 1989-90, and then grunge comes and thrash goes into decline. And Sepultura really carry on thrash metal, don't they, and make it harsher. You're right, Rain in Blood is such a seminal moment in the career of Sepultura. That's when they look at that album by Slayer and think, we can do this. And they do it in like a death metal way. And they're one of the few bands that transitioned from death metal to thrash metal. It was normally the other way around, wasn't it, at the time? And then in the mid-90s, Dave, groove metal, where would it be without Sepultura?
And new metal. They influenced a lot of new metal bands like Korn. Korn have actually gone on record and said Sepultura are one of their biggest influences when they were starting to write their debut. Sepultura was where they all kind of met in concerts. And
same with, we reviewed Hatebreed, and Jamie Jasta said Chaos AD. is a big influence. So look at the influence on metallic hardcore and metalcore. That album Arise, such a big influence even on. There's not really a genre called death thrash, is there? It's a bit of a. The term is a bit lazy, but Sepultura are the quintessential band for that. You could even say they are the first ever blackened death metal band as well, because that early stuff, it's incredible. Ethnic metal. That's not, you know, every album you hear that has a nation's percussion in it and rhythmic elements, you just think roots, don't you? By
Sepultura. It all goes back. It's their exploration, yeah.
Yeah. So what a legacy they've got, and what an impact. And their last 3 albums, Andy, they're heavy, but there's some great experimental moments on there as well.
Yeah, good, worth checking out the last 3. There we go, Sepultura and Isolation. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.